All right, everybody, welcome on back. Continuing along, of course, our Thursday afternoon here in the Cyber Group trading room, this May 7th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, guys. Welcome on back. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. Talking to everybody today, not just Facebook and YouTube. I got myself, of course, in the trading room as well. I think I was muted for the first minute yesterday. Great to see everybody, though. David, Bonnie, Ken, Ralph, Jason, Donald, Cliff, Sydney, Dwayne, William. Great to see you all live from the trading room, at least. And of course, like I'd said, streaming across social media, Facebook and YouTube alike. Let's get right into it, guys. Well, got to say, despite the bad report this morning, the bad jobless claims report this morning, we ended up seeing the market squeeze up nicely. It took a little bit, but ended up holding their own. Dow ended up making a nice higher low, eventually ended up breaking out going into the early afternoon. So, markets were picking up pretty early, but, we had a really nice day all around. I mean, that's usually the case. If the markets take off, there still could be a stock maybe that could drop off of bad news. If there's, a tanking market, there still could be a stock here and there that we could look to follow that goes against the grain. So, I always like to show the Dow at first just to see generally where we're at across the day. But like I'd said, we did really well, guys, across the entire morning thus far. We ended up doing pretty well at first, I have to say. We're going to go right to TTPH to begin. Real cheap stock. It ended up making the pre-market watch list that Fausto put out early on. I don't think we ended up putting this on the main CTU watch list, but of course, does not mean that we're not going to trade this one. If we ended up seeing, as we did, this make a huge pop shortly after the market opened up from basically 2 all the way up right away at first, ended up getting halted, of course, just due to it moving up so much so fast. It's a volatility halt, circuit breaker halt for the stock, but ended up squeezing up higher later on. You could see, of course, off the pullback, ended up making a higher low, similar kind of to the Dow. But, obviously they're not correlated. But we ended up seeing TTPH ended up making a higher high, re-broke above resistance at 3. And, well, unfortunately from there, that's when the show was pretty much over for the long. Ended up seeing this kind of drop off, as did the volume traded per minute. You can see just on my volume bars there. As soon as it ended up breaking above, resistance and testing, I should say, that high, that major level 350, that was all she wrote. So the volume crapped out right away after, as did the stock. Interestingly enough, though, it's not to say this entire move was done, because rarely enough, this stock is actually shortable for those that have TradeStation, at least. I know that Fausto was trying to short this earlier with his other broker and wasn't able to. So we ended up doing really well, of course, on the long at first, but once it started pulling back, I saw a few of you guys do really well on the short, pick up 20, 30 cents a pop. For a cheapie like this, I got to say, that's like a home run hit for a short trade. So, for right now, TTPH, it's kind of moving sideways a bit. Is it possible for this to move up or down, 15, 20 cents? Absolutely, especially just simply looking at the range that you see that it's made across the day. It's like saying like a $50 stock has the ability to move, 50 cents or a buck. The answer should be it easily should be able to do that, at least, early on in the morning, or at least, hey, going into the final hour of the day. So, for now, I'm going to keep this on the side. Maybe at the end of this list, or once we go through everything, we'll look to reconsider this. But I feel like the show is over now for good. If this stays shortable for tomorrow, then, man, I'm definitely going to watch this right away, because still, as much as this is up, if it doesn't break higher tomorrow, there's a very good chance it will continue the pullback. So, not to write this one off right away. All right, we ended up doing pretty good, though, otherwise. We did pretty well on Save. I want to go through a few stocks that we actually just spoke about here in the trading room. Actually, rather, allow me to go to Lyft. Ken says Save is dipping. That's what we were looking for, Ken. But, I want to go to Lyft first. Lyft came out with earnings after hours yesterday, and, the ensuing move once the market opened up, a little shake, but ended up blasting right through resistance off of 31. And from there, as you could see, it held a higher low off the first pop, and from there just ran very, very nicely. I mean, a lot more than I really expected it to move. Typically, guys, just off of like a strong earnings report, good or bad, either way, whether it's a really good beat or a pretty bad miss, stock will typically make like a 15% move up or down, a few percentages there. If I see a stock move up or down more than 20, I start thinking, all right, well, at what point do we begin to see the pullback or the retracement just for the stock to begin to go the other way? I gotta say, this one ended up doing pretty damn well. Broke higher from 32.50, moved up another point from there. We were looking so far as 34 at that point. We ended up seeing a historical top just across the last week and a half, I'd say, roughly around that 34. Ultimately, it held 33.50, and it's on the way back down now. We ended up just doing pretty well on the short just a moment ago. I ended up buying this myself right from 32.50. Made the pop up, and then right when it fell back down, I reversed. So I ended up taking this down. I left, obviously, a hell of a lot of money on the table just doing this meeting, and naturally, I expected this to kind of pop back up a lot sooner than it did. So I closed out my short right around 32.25. I know a couple of us ended up doing really well. I saw one of our newest students, Fahim, just shorted this from 32.50. He got out at 32. And of course, now it's still dropping. So, Lyft, I have no problem just slapping this right on our afternoon list going into the close. Just given the range across the day, up and down, it is shortable. So, for right now, just given this nice trend heading into the early afternoon, we'll put our focus on this Lyft trade again. Let me see if Uber's doing the same thing. Although Uber, I have to say, guys, Uber's reporting after the bell today earnings. So I don't know if it's going to move as sharply, perhaps with more people just in anticipation of the earnings report after the bell. Got to say, though, we were focused on Peloton yesterday afternoon, and to a degree, that's what happened. It was kind of a dud over the final hour, and it was very sharp across the whole day. So Uber, I'll keep on our side list for right now. It's still moving with Lyft pretty good, but I'm definitely more focused on this one for tomorrow morning. All right, give me a brief moment here, guys. So, yep, there we go. So Uber, again, we'll keep on our side list for the meantime here. Let's go back to Save. Ken just was saying Save is dropping off a bit. That's exactly what we were hoping, but Ken, you may have jinxed it right here. I think as soon as you said that, it ended up spiking right back up. So right now, guys, Save just recently broke right through $10. It broke through the VWAP line, 995, and pulled back pretty nicely. I hope this, of course, continues for us heading into the final hour of the day. Save, Spirit Airlines ended up posting earnings, of course, after the bell yesterday. Dumped off pretty nicely this morning, and then since it made a nice recovery, but we're kind of looking to see this drop back down heading into the close. This is another one that I will say it's just very heavily traded across the entire day, although it is making nice move down and back up. So it is tradable to a great degree. I'm going to come back to this at least. I'm not going to fully write this one off, Save. Hopefully that one ends up showing a lot more activity heading into the next few minutes. All right, what else do we have here, guys, that we traded from earlier today? A couple of expensive ones. We had TWLO, we had PayPal breaking all-time highs off their earnings, a couple of cheapies otherwise, and we'll find them as we go through the percent gainers and losers list. But one I wanted to just talk about really quick while I have the chance, Riot, RIOT, Riot Blockchain Incorporated. We ended up seeing them make a nice run yesterday. Of course, there's some news about Bitcoin, a new run to be expected over the next, many months, perhaps years ahead. Something what's called Bitcoin halving, where they're limiting the number of Bitcoins accessible, I believe, by half every 4 years. So it's an event where, over the last two events of this nature, Bitcoin itself took off. Long story short, Riot, this stock, this equity, is a blockchain stock. It's in affiliation with blockchain news, and anytime Bitcoin moves up, this moves up with it, or more often than not. Don't want to say every time, but ended up doing well today. Bitcoin, that is. Riot moved up with it pretty nicely. Alongside Riot, another blockchain stock, as I rather phrase it, is Mara, M-A-R-A. This one's pulling back down a bit more. If I were to kind of look at the two, grade them, and say which one's more interesting heading into the close, I like the one that's making the stronger push here, Riot. So you know what? I'm going to add Riot, R-I-O-T, to our watch list. I don't know if it's going to be near the top of the list, but it's up big. It's a cheapie, has a tight spread also. So perhaps this one ends up making a new pop right above resistance. A couple of larger orders on the ask at 159 high of the day, and well, from there 160. All right, last one I want to talk about. Again, we'll find these just right from top to bottom on the gainers and losers list, but IO. Man, IO is a great pre-market trade, and shortly after the market opened up, well, it popped. But Again, a lot of what we tend to see on a day-to-day basis happened here with IO shortly after 9:30. This is what we talk about every week in our Q&A workshop, Traders Talk. If we end up seeing a stock up as much as IO was, pop at the open instead of drop, guys, trust me when I tell you, very shortly afterwards, it's going to pull back, and the pullback's not going to be pretty. So this one ended up lasting a little bit longer than other stocks normally do that are up this much. You can see roughly around 942, 945. It hit a high, but from there, man, this thing crashed and came right back down. I don't know if anyone was able to short this stock. If you were able to short this stock, then you had more success across the day shorting this than of course, trying to buy. And I'd say the same to be said, perhaps, heading into the close, especially if this one ends up breaking below support, low of the day, 280. All right, give me a brief moment, guys. Just one split second. All right, great. So, guys, what we'll do, like I'd said just from before, we'll find a couple of these right away. We'll recap those that I just failed to miss just before. But what we'll do is just begin to build our list heading into the close. GNUS, we talked about this early in the morning. Fausto, spoke about this. Just a huge drop-off, guys. I didn't even see the news. Me personally, that is. My guess was that we ended up seeing news in relation to like direct offering, common stock offering. Yep, there we go. This came out of nowhere. Priced at 35 cents a share, 8 million share offering. But of course, as you could see, GNUS still after 9:30 had a really nice retracement back up from basically 70 up to a buck. For right now, though, I'm not going to put this on the main list. This actually did a lot better than I expected. Normally, when a stock comes out with news in relation to an offering of shares, it typically falls right to that price, flattens out, and just that's it. Or it trades in like a really tight range. So this did a very good job, I have to say, something that we normally don't tend to see off of news of that. TTPH pulling back down a bit. Again, it's on the side list. If we could still look to short this, that might be the play heading into the close. Oh, I just closed out a position that I was in. I'll show you guys that in a moment. I had the Magic Robotic Trade Station order filled pop up, and I had an order to cover a short. I'll show you guys that in a moment. FSLY, look at this. This one flew under the radar to a great degree, at least in our trading room. We were focused on plenty of others, but damn, this thing ended up running pretty nicely. Of course, right near a whole number price right now at 34. Bit of a spread at times, not necessarily now, but the lack of larger volume on the order book makes me a little hesitant, but the trend is as clean as can be. Is this an all-time high? Multi-year high for sure. No, not for sure. 35.25 is the high back from September of 2019. And I think that's it. This is a fairly new IPO. So FSLY, I mean, it's getting close up there. I mean, we've been seeing so many stocks recently, guys, break new all-time highs just off of news. FSLY popped in the after hours, I reckon. Probably another one off of earnings. But yeah, I guess why not? Just be a little careful on the spread and the lack of liquidity, but too clean of a trend to not follow. All right, we keep it pushing. What else do we have here? Ooh, WTRH, beautiful. Ended up moving off of 2. That's where we most recently had called it out. I took my eyes off this for a bit, but I guess perfect timing heading into the final hour of the day. Yeah, WTRH easily. This one's going to be near the top. Remember, guys, we traded the stock going back into the end of March. We did really well on this trade back on March 18th. However, though, look what happened the following day. Gapped up that much higher. It did pop, but you knew what came afterwards, and that was a huge drop back down. So, this stock definitely has some legs to run, at least heading into the end of this afternoon. All right, let's go through a couple of pricier ones like we were looking at. TWLO, Twilio. Pretty expensive, right? But obviously broke all-time highs off of earnings yesterday, took off like a missile this morning. And, really, without there being any sense of historical levels ahead, I'd say this would be worth watching, but the spread, the price, at least for now, I feel like, if you've traded this earlier today and did well, then put it on your watch list going into the close, and you know who you are. But I just don't want a stock like this to distract, other traders and newly enrolled students perhaps from other trades that we're going to be calling out. So, for now, that Twilio, more of a level 5 stock, certainly. GNMK we called out earlier this morning as well, and of course going into the afternoon, that was I think Fausto's last comment, just saying a nice pop off of 13, and it moved up pretty nicely at the time, but eventually started to exhaust itself out, had pulled back. I like this stock, guys, going into the close, and not for the reason of going long, for the reason of going short. The stock is shortable for those that have TradeStation at least. This thing's had a funky last couple of days, I have to say. Just looking at the daily chart, big gap up back on Monday or Tuesday, tanked, continued to tank the following day, and then of course today a gap, and then just a ginormous run. So just for right now, I'm going to put this on our list. It's trending down nicely off the highs. It is at support 1250, so keep that in mind. And also from earlier today, that seemed to have been a pretty strong level. So let's see if this could break below 1250 a second time. Maybe it'll make the bigger break. All right, let's see. Let's keep it moving, guys. Damn, we're only at number 9 on the gainers list. There's going to be a lot to go through right now. We've had a pretty active day. If it wasn't one stock, it was another. Jerry called out Vuzi, V-U-Z-I, earlier today and just earlier going into the afternoon. So this also was one that we did pretty well on. Popped early in the morning, ran up off the lows pretty cleanly. Started to accelerate off those lows. You could see there roughly around 11 a.m. Eastern time, started to move up through 250, hit a high of like 278. But again, a lot of these small caps tend to crap out quick. But we did really well on this trade earlier. For right now, at this stage, Jerry called it out off the peak here, trying to see a new pop. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. So at this stage now, I'm not going to put this on the main list. All right, let's see what else we got. Time is 2:47, so a little behind. I want to make sure we have enough time to go through everything else. Lyft already on our list. Just given the volume traded, the activity, the range across the morning so far this afternoon. Riot making a lower high so far, still on our list. That's right. Michael D in the trading room was talking about Penn National Gaming earlier. Broke a new high before, as you could see, and still running up. So, yeah, Penn, definitely a great call going into the close. We were interested in Penn a little while back. I mean, this was before the crash, but they posted earnings this morning, and then they've had an affiliation, a partnership with Barstool Sports, rising company across the last few years. They target younger generation, social media wise. So with that acquisition, it actually was right here where my cursor is in late January. Huge run up off of that news. So perhaps that's factored in with their earnings report with the financials. Not really too sure, but strong day for Penn, of course, right now at the highs, and 1850 seemingly would be the next resistance ahead. So definitely we're going to throw Penn on our list. Fausto, I think it was Fausto, or maybe it was Ben. I think called out MGM Casino, which we'll call out or look at in a moment. When it says TGTX is dropping off, so we're going to get through the rest of the gainers list, guys. That was the one I closed short on. So I guess I left some money on the table, Dwayne, if that's what you're telling me. Happy, though. I did really well on that short, so I'll show you what I did. Oof, PayPal at the high of the day. Look at that. So, guys, we're talking about all-time highs. Twilio versus PayPal. Just right here, based on this pattern, I'm looking at PayPal. Obviously very expensive stock, but a double top at an all-time high. And mind you, Ben, I don't know if you saw this. You posted a big volume spike on Tiva earlier. Look at that thing. I want to go through the tape right now with you guys. Probably going to go after 3 o'clock, but give me a brief moment. I want to go right through time and sales here, guys. What the heck happened at 2:17 Eastern time today for PayPal? Look at that. You think somebody knows something, guys? A 1.38 million share print, one transaction that is, mind you, at 145.81. One singular print at $145 plus for 1.4 million shares just about. So clearly you would have to think, just based on that one transaction, somebody knows something. Well, what do they know? We have to read the reaction afterwards, and you would expect perhaps to see that make a pretty sharp pop back up after. Well, ended up dropping off and then squeezing back up, and as you could see, once it blasted through this line, 145.81-ish right here, big move up to break a new high. So yeah, PayPal, definitely we're going to add to our list, although kind of expensive. All right, so I want to go to TGTX quickly. I think that was on the gainers list for a moment, but now it is on the losers list. So yeah, TGTX, I did not leave too much money on the table, believe it or not. I ended up just closing out my short, guys. I had an order on the bid to cover at 1840. I was short on this trade. I had two positions. I shorted here under 19. I took a 12-cent loss because it spiked back up. But I figured if it were to break below 19 a second time, right here is where I re-entered on a short from 1897. And I just covered, I guess, right here. It said order filled, and that's what it was referring to. So far, I didn't leave too much on the table there. Nice one. So, yeah, TGTX, given what we saw yesterday and the day before as well. I mean, a gap up, a huge run after, and then yesterday, just a clean run from start to finish. It's pretty rare to see a stock like TGTX just flat out shortable. So, that's why I figured to go short on TGTX where I did. You know what? I still see it as a good tradable stock going into the end of the day. So I'll put this one on our list too. I wouldn't have found it on the percent losers list. Not down too much. All right, let's go through the rest of the loser side though, guys. See what else we can get. Normally, I would say a bunch of crap hard to borrow, but a bunch of stuff very well shortable on the losers list. LCI maybe off 750. That's a setup. A little slow. Come back to that maybe. Cars was a big mover, much like TGTX yesterday. Ran up early, and of course today at the open, this was a great short, and it still is pulling back pretty nicely here. So yeah, similar reasons for cars. I'll put this on our list too. And then same with MGNX, right? I'll tell you, I was going to enter this as a short at 2150. I had an order on the, I had a stop limit order to enter under 2150. I pulled the order because I didn't want to have it filled during the afternoon meeting here and just to have it fly up. So, given some of the crazy moves that we had yesterday, I pulled my order. It obviously would have worked out, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. Nice trade, at least, if anyone jumped in short under 2150. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not put MGNX back on our watch list, again, given what we had. Same reasons, again, for cars and TGTX, MGNX we'll put back on our list. If you did well on it earlier today, if you did well on it yesterday, then right away, put it back on your list. Save, again, that one's on our side list. Just I expected a bigger drop from 10 right there, 995. Didn't really get it, so kind of shaky and slow. We'll pass on that. Opco Health, coronavirus stock, a little too slow. I mean, it's dropping off nicely, and it's shortable, but we're going to pass. Elan, not to be confused with Elon Musk. You think I'm joking, guys. I'm honestly not. Elon Musk is actually on like the Joe Rogan podcast. I think it's airing as we speak. And we were joking about this earlier, but the last time Elon Musk was on the Joe Rogan show, that podcast, it was that time I think he got caught smoking pot like live on air, and instantly Tesla tanked like however much percent, at least 10% that day. It was crazy. So not to be confused with Elon Musk, we have Elan, E-L-A-N, and this one's a hell of a setup, I have to say. It's shortable. It's at a major support. You would figure off of 20. Looking lower going into the close. So, yeah, E-L-A-N. All right. Let's see. It's 2:55. I'm doing all right on time, I think. Let's see. Grubhub, again, we had them off of earnings. What was it? Was that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday afternoon, Grubhub earnings ended up dropping like a rock after the open. And, again, for what it's worth, this is one of those stocks, like I was saying earlier. Is it possible to see this pop or drop, 50 cents? Yeah, I mean, given the price of the stock and the range that it's had today, absolutely. But for right now, I'm not just going to put this on our list here to begin. All right. And I think as I quickly skim through the rest of the others on the loser side here, I think that just about does it. We got a good list already. Not too big, but I don't want to make it too big. So guys, let me know if there's anything else up, down, left, right. We'll call it 10% or more going into the end of this Thursday, and otherwise I'll check it out. All right, let's see what else we have here, guys, from Chuck. And I'm going to go, actually, I'm going to go from top to bottom here in our chat board here. Let's see, from Ben, DK, and G getting killed. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you could short it, though, but Ben's getting it off the bounce. He got in off 23.50. Nice little scalp there, Ben. Yeah, for right now, I'm going to pass on DraftKings, but obviously a sharp move. So it was a nice bounce entry that Ben took off 23.50, it seems. Who names their kid Elon, says Dean. Dean, I have a better question for you. Did you see what Elon Musk ended up naming his newborn son? Is it biblical, Jerry? I don't think it was biblical, or maybe it has some hints of that, but it was a wacky name, and it was like a calculus formula almost. There might be some representation of that. I don't know, but a wacky one. I'll post it in the room once we're done. That's all. Let's see. We got from Kevin here, MGM. Yeah, let's go back to MGM. I was going to get to that. You're saying MGM. Ben called out earlier. It was moving up with Penn greatly. And, it's pulling back nicely here. A very sharp drop off, in fact, from 1525 high. I don't mind putting MGM on our list. How many do we have, though? Let's do a tally now, though, guys. How many do we have? I don't want to make this too big. 1 or 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Guys, we got a lot on our list. Let's just put it that way. I don't know if we have any more room now at this point, but if we do have room, it would have to be for a stock that is just about to just take off, right? Make a huge, significant pop or drop. Cliff, Mark. Oof, Mark from yesterday, too. This one's only up 1.9%, obviously, but just making a huge pop recently. So that's a great call from Cliff, and that's right, from Chuck as well. I was going to get to that FLDM. Damn. All right. So, oh my goodness, guys, we're going to have to do some hair cutting here. I'm not going to put out a watch list of 20 stocks. You know that. So I have to take a couple of these off, I think. I'm going to go back to Riot. Because Riot, I don't want to be a distraction. It's dropping off at this point. At least for now, we're going to take Riot off of our list. That FLIM, though, is going to make our list, though, or FLDM, that was from Chuck. All right, so we scratch Riot off. We had that one that Chuck just put in. And you know what? For right now, I'm going to scratch GNMK off that list, too. GNMK was just the stock that I had said had a great range across the day. It did bounce off 1250 just there. But for right now, we'll keep this on the back burner for the meantime. I never like to make too big of a watch list going into the afternoons, although I have to say I'm fairly susceptible to that. All right, guys, before we finish up, though, really quickly, I'd like to welcome 2 of our newest students to Cyber Trading University, that being Leo W. and Jesse J. Welcome aboard, guys, to CTU. So, hey, with the week that we've had thus far, guys, regardless of market up, market down, between MGNX yesterday and TGTX, and of course, even just those today, TTPH, IO from pre-market, Lyft, name brand stock that took off today. No better time to try and dip into day trading than now, guys. But you have to do so educated. So for anyone that's streaming across social media right now, Facebook and YouTube, if you'd like to learn more about what we offer here at Cyber Trading University, that being the online trading room here that we're talking to right now, and along with that, just our online classroom. We record our classes and host them live every single month. If you would like to learn more, just make sure that you call the number down below, and one of our education advisors will pick up and give you more detail. But aside from that, though, guys, I have to say, for all of our students and trial members here in our trading room, man, we have a hell of an afternoon lined up, guys. A lot of stocks to work with. So try and start with just a couple, as I always say. Mark out your levels quick, but at that point, don't try and force a trade. Wait for the stock to come to you. All right, so we have final hour left, guys. Let's try and make the most of it. I'll talk to you guys coming up pretty shortly. Take care.